It's not appropriate. And so we're not pets, we're not any of those things, and our children aren't either. So it's when they want to. That's different from saying, David, what about manners? Do we teach them etiquette? Yes, we do teach them etiquette. We do. So if we say, okay, if Mr. Dennis comes up and says, hello, Hayden, and if Hayden just walks away, I say, no, he's going to get fussed at. We'll say, no, you don't do that, baby. When someone comes to look at you and say hello, you need to properly say back, hello. You look them in the eyes. We've had this talk several times. Look them in the eyes. Well, I said hello. No, you mumbled hello. You look at them, you say hello, or shake their hands if they want to do that, whatever, if we're with you. We teach that's etiquette because it'll teach them that you're honoring them. And we tell them, you're doing it. Etiquette teaches moral values called honor and respect and love and kindness. And if you don't do those things, you inadvertently will come across as someone who doesn't, you're disrespectful, and they'll think that maybe you're a mean person, and that's not true, and it'll change your relationship. So we teach them etiquette. That's very different from when if Mr. Dennis said, come give me a hug every time. That's a physical boundary issue, if that makes sense. So he's not morally responsible to give hugs and high fives every time. It just, we teach him there are certain times in certain limited etiquette situations that's appropriate and okay. Any question or comments about that? That's 30 minutes straight. Talk to me. Okay, what if we teach and model but it doesn't sink in?
Like with Mike.
So we do, for example, if someone keeps hitting. If he's only hitting you, that demonstrates he wants to hit you, number one. It demonstrates, one, that it gets away with it, but two, probably so. Most children do those kinds of behaviors to get attention. That is the rule of thumb in general. When they do those things is to get attention. So what he's getting from you is mama time. And we call that negative attention. Positive attention is when you're saying, way to go, I'm so proud of you. Negative attention is when you're saying, stop that, quit. But they'll get dirty water versus no water at all any day. Any day. And so there's several things you can do to stop that. There's several things. One is you have to spend so much time praising him when he doesn't do it. You do not give him any attention when he does do it. Remember the analogy, you walk around the kitchen, whatever. You don't say stop, 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 stop. That's negative attention. You go cold turkey, stoic robot. Just, and then that's after you've disciplined him, right? So if you tell him, I'm getting all this in a nutshell, but you would tell him when he's not hitting you, you do not hit me. You will never do that again. You don't have permission to do that. It's hateful. You do not, in our household, we don't do it. Now he's so young, you don't need to explain all the reasons why. When they're real young, I'm not trying to be too brainy here, but when you're real young, in ethics, we have a rule-based system. Rule-based. That is to say, we don't explain them the deeper meaning of things. Don't cross the road. Does that work when you're 25? Well, that's ridiculous. But as children, rule-based is good. When parents don't adapt, that's not good. So as they mature, we teach them things called virtue ethics. We go, what's the best thing to do in the situation that develops your character, or what's those? We start adding other moral systems. So at his age, you don't need to explain it. They don't hit, bottom line. They don't hit. If he hits, there are dire consequences. And age appropriate for him, he's 2, 3. So he gets 2 minutes in timeout. 2 minutes in timeout. But in timeout, he gets zero attention. He's got to be in the corner somewhere where you don't even look at him, you don't talk, you don't nothing. It's going to be absolute 2 minutes of silence, and he can't make a word either. It's got to be absolute negative attention. Because kids always do what works, and they always work within their currency. So whatever the currency is, you take away their currency, that whatever they value. Some kids value video games, you got to lose that. When they're real little kids, they're valuing time with mom and dad. And I'll talk about a little bit about consequences. We'll talk more about that in a second. But so you have a talk with him, and then the negative attention is what he's getting. So you have to take that part away. It's not a mean thing. It's not yelling and then I cut him off. It's not that. It's a very rational approach to how we do it. But we can talk more about that. But he can stop. He's not the only 2-year-old in the world who has a dysfunctional I can't stop hitting disorder. Does that make sense? He can stop. He can stop. You can help him, and so can William. So we can. There's a lot of hope. Believe me, there's really. I've seen many kids do that and just stop cold turkey. Biting is another very common thing. Biting and hitting are two very common things for that age group.
Yeah, we found those.
Yeah, and Hayden did a little bit, but we get real cold turkey hard on that one at age appropriate level. Yeah. And maybe after this, if you want, I'll give some practical tips, like exactly. There's more steps I would tell you, but not to take up everyone's time, if that's okay, if that's cool. So that's a good question. Anything else before we move on? Top of 13, what's the goal in parenting? In general, let me put it real simple, the goal in Christian parenting is to develop character. Christian character, that's it. It's not to make them happy, it's to develop Christian character. That is the number one chief goal. Again, let me put this real simple. If you had a job description for parenting, and sometimes kind of sort of for grandparenting, it would have one bullet point, develop character. Now under that bullet point, a heading, we've done a bunch of ways to do it, like being protector, manager, provider, and so forth. But that's the number one goal. And this is some of the ways Cloud and Townsend describe character, and I love it. For example, the child is able to recover from distressing emotional states. Or do they lose it all the time and can't stop from crying forever? No, character is such they can recover from that. Scared, sad states. They sustain periods of stress and delay gratification or good feelings until a responsibility has been met. That's developing character. They lose well, they grieve, and let go of what cannot be reclaimed or won. They lose well, grieve, and let go of what cannot be reclaimed or won. They're not sore losers and blame everybody else for why they lost, and they don't get over it, and they throw temper tantrums. They confess when they're wrong. They change behavior or direction when confronted with reality. They deal with reality. Reality has become one of my number one favorite words in my adulthood. I just really like it. Reality is a good one, good word to embrace. And adults deal with reality all the time. A lot of what I mean is, I'm talking about this, adults in the transactional analysis. That is, healthy adults deal with reality. Not all adults in reality do it. Because denial is very common. I see it in any organization I've consulted, at churches. But children, ideally develop character. They learn how to forgive. They take ownership of a problem. I mean, doesn't this just even sound good? These are good things. So again, the idea is once we grow up, they develop character to deal with these things. And look in your own life, if you've been able to process these kinds of things and learn these skill sets, these are healthy coping mechanisms. Take responsibility, you forgive, you lose well, you're able to have stressful times because you see on the other side, if I can stay in university, I'll finish. If I stay in this project, I'm going on the other end. If I will not eat these donuts for 3 months, in other words, you can sustain what's painful. And kids can't do that. Children by nature don't do that and can't do it. They think if something's painful, it's harmful. And so parents have to know it's not going to hurt you. It's just a season of strenuous activity. And it's better for your character. But they can't see it. You know, the parents and grandparents, it's good for you. Well, they don't feel or see that need. That doesn't make any sense to them. By default, it doesn't. They just can't understand what character development means, and why would it matter that you learn how to pay the bills? I used to tell my kids all the time. Anyway, common ways parents fail the test. Sorry, parents and myself. Children test boundaries to learn reality. Parents are to resist children's testing. Pouting, tantrums, these are ways children push limits. That's their natural response. We give them, they break them. Or bend them or push them. That's what they're going to do. So some common ways parents fail the child's testing your boundaries. One, they depend on the child for emotional support because the parent is not taking responsibility for his or her own feelings, like childhood trauma or divorce. That's why I said before, children are not a parent's friend or counselor. So that's one way we fail our children is when we lean upon them for emotional support. Secondly, we over-identify with a child's anxiety or grief. We over-identify. Parents should validate and sympathize with their emotions, but not project their own woundedness into the child. This is overwhelmingly common as well. So if a person grows up poor, they were embarrassed all the time. I'll be an example. And our kid comes from school and says, I'm embarrassed because they made fun of my pants. And then you start weeping. Let's go right now, honey. You go buy 30 pair of pants. I mean, the one is it taps into your own woundedness. If you were made fun of a little as a kid, you grow up, you never processed what it means to be bullied as a kid. The first time the little kid makes any little comment at all, you go crazy and go chew out the principal and what's going to be done here, and it's over-identification with it. And parents can often do that by thinking the child is much more harmed than they really are, or hurt that they really are, because of your own pain. Now we can discount it too. Oh, get over, it doesn't matter. That's also your own problems, because you never learned how to identify and validate your own. I know that was legitimate. I really hurt. and I'm sorry you hurt too. We don't want to do that either. So we don't want to over-identify and make it bigger than what it is, and we certainly want to turn them away. Do you see the two distinctions there? Either way, we're jumping right over their boundaries. Either I need to come rescue you, or you've got to come rescue me. That's not healthy. Either way. So how do we teach kids boundaries? This is a great question you were saying earlier. The number one way we teach boundaries, the number one way is teaching and showing it, but for children as they mature and they grow up to the adult stage, is we give them consequences. And I remember Cloud Townsend say this just right. They say it just right. Psychological and relational consequences like nagging, guilt messages, withdrawing affection usually do not motivate real change in behavior. Reality consequences do cause change. Reality might be something like logical appropriate. For example, experiencing pain, losing time, money, things, something he or she enjoys. When parents, I've said it so many times to parents in teaching and also sometimes just in counseling, yelling is not a consequence. Yelling is not a boundary. Screaming is not a consequence. It's just not. So many parents think it is. I've seen dads they puff up their chest, you need to sit down, and they'll scream and holler. That's not a boundary. What's a child going to do when that happens? When they're younger, they're going to back down. They'll cow down, okay, because they're scared. And guess what happens? In a second, the parent goes, oh, that's right. I'm teaching them something. I'm teaching them to obey. But they'll acquiesce. Most of the time, boys and girls, any kind of children, they acquiesce not because they've learned a life lesson. They acquiesce because they feel the relationship has been severed. And they'll do almost whatever it takes to get back mom and daddy. So nagging, not talking to them, silent treatment, screaming and hollering, all these things make them feel like the relationship is at stake. And for children, that is terrifying. The best word is gorgonizing. They're paralyzed by fear. That's one of the reasons why children can, quote unquote, forgive so quickly. I say quote unquote because they don't really know the concept. But they can forgive. It's okay, mommy. It's okay, daddy. No big deal. I know I shouldn't have thrown that beer bottle at your head, or I shouldn't have screamed at you, or I shouldn't have cussed, or I shouldn't have whatever. No, it's okay. It's okay. Because in a second, whatever it takes, let's get back together and be mom and daddy and child again. They've not learned anything in life. Their character has not been developed. They just want a relationship to get back together. So screaming is not a consequence. And on marriage sometimes, Elaine and I have to keep each other in check and say, he's like, Sean, I'm just going crazy. Or me too, I'll say, take a deep breath. Remember, raising your voice won't help. Enact consequences. Let the consequences be the thing that makes them upset, not your raised voice. You can raise your voice some. We're fine with that. There's nothing wrong with raising your voice. But anyway, giving consequences teach children that the problem is theirs. They must experience consequences. They learn how reality works. And we must not be a rescuer. That's a wonderful thing to teach your kids. My kids, this is yesterday or 2 days ago. We've just started where Elaine has a part-time job and she has to go early in the morning. She's there at 5:30 in the morning. Well, when she's home Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays, she gets up, makes sure the kids have some breakfast, their lunch is prepared. Now they've done it the night before, but she just makes sure it's finished. Make sure they're out of bed, and helps more. Well, on Monday and Tuesday when she's gone, and I don't know her, I stay in bed. I'm sleepy. And Elaine goes, you going to help in the morning? I said, they got an alarm clock. So they set their own alarm clock. They get up, and then they'll come downstairs and say, goodbye, Dad, I love you. I said, I love you too, baby. They're all dressed. I said, you have breakfast? Yep. Lunch ready? Yep, sure is. Well, Joey came in yesterday. She's done this a couple times. She's coming yesterday, and every once in a while I might get up and yell, hey, I want to hear you up there, you ready? Or whatever. But yesterday, Joey came in, and I'm asleep. I'm out. So I wake up, she comes in, Dad, quick, sign this for me. She has this little booklet I'm supposed to sign it. Plops it on my face. She goes, poof, and I looked around, she ran out of bed, opened the drawer, got a pen and threw it at me, and she runs out. And I thought she's probably closed for school, so I get it. My eyes are crossed, and it's a reading thing she's done, and she's a big reader, so I trust it. So I sign it, put it back on the thing, close my eyes. A little later on, she comes in, finds it, and runs out. And then I fade out again. Comes in, she goes, Dad, you got to take me now. I go, what? I kind of wake out of sleep. I go, what? He goes, you got to take me now. I said, what time is it? She says, 8:43. She says, we'll be there at 8:45. Usually she rides her bike. And I said, Julia, I'm in bed half asleep in my underwear. I'm not taking you anywhere. If I were you, I'd get going. She goes, and she bolted out, ran in the door. And then she went, she made it to school and fine. Well, I told Lane later on, she goes, did you take her? I said, no. And I told the story. She goes, did she make it in time? I said, I don't know. She goes, I said, and if she's late, she'll have to suffer the consequences for that. There's no she gets up early and she ends up playing with dolls and so forth. Well, this is not like day one she's ever done it, by the way. We used to walk with her to school, and then Lane would take her to bike. I mean, we've eased into this. This isn't like day one, the first time on her. I should have said that first. We eased into it. I was very confident that she could do it on her own because we have the end of last semester and the beginning of this semester where she has been slowly doing it on her own. That is, I was ready for the wings to be, she could fly, and she did fine. And every time I've been home with her, she's made it just fine. She's fully dressed. They know their routine because we've drilled it and drilled it. So my point is, that's one such example where the consequences are theirs. If they do something bad, they'll lose a treat. They lose an event. We don't say, okay, we'll fix it. We go, yeah, I'd be upset too if I were you. When Hayden was real little, there was a little bit of phase where he was trying to show power over us by not eating his food. And that's one of the first things children do to demonstrate power over a parent. One of the very first things they do is nope, they move their mouth. Nope, like you can't control me, which is normal and healthy, but if they do it too much and we give into that, it teaches them that you have no authority over me, and that's not good either. But Hayden was, I don't know, must have been 4 years old, was going to a birthday party. And 1 or 2 times before, we'd taken McDonald's a couple of times, getting chicken nuggets, and he wouldn't eat it. Well, I hate wasting money. Can't stand it, especially when I know they like the food. So this is the second, maybe third time. I'd be surprised if it was the third, probably the second time. We were going to McDonald's. We were on the way to a birthday party. Birthday present in the back. There's a McDonald's right across from our neighborhood in North Houston. And we get there, and I said, son, you want McDonald's? Yay, McDonald's! And I said, all right, but son, that's fine. We'll get a Happy Meal. But if you don't eat your food, Elaine went, oh, because she knew where I was going. I said, if you don't eat your food, we're not going to the birthday party. Now, that was pretty high escalation versus just say you'll be crowned later on. A lot of parents, well, later on. Nope. Because I knew in developmental stages, this is who's going to be the boss. And then when I said Elaine, she was in the passenger seat, she went, oh, because she knew once I said it, we do it. He goes, okay. I said, son, I'm telling you. Yeah, I drilled it over and over. Do you understand me? If you don't eat those 4 chicken nuggets, you're not, yes, Daddy, yes. You're going to eat them? Yes. You're going to eat them? Yes, yes. Guess what happened? We get the Happy Meal. He doesn't eat them. And so we're in the parking lot, and he goes, nope. I go, you going to eat the chicken? We're going, nope. And we drove right back over the red light and went straight home, and he burst into tears. And I said, you have a chance. Between now and home, you eat the chicken nuggets. He cried, no, I don't. I eat them. But all the way home, went inside. He cried, and never went to the birthday party. And guess what he did next time he went to McDonald's? Ate his chicken nuggets. He ate it. But I said the whole time as we're crying going back, I said, I'd be sad too. I'd be sad too if I couldn't go to the birthday party. I'd be sad too if I made those choices. I'd be sad too when I make bad choices. I'd be sad. You see what happens? It's not my fault he didn't eat it. I gave him tons of, I bought that junk. He didn't pay for anything. I warned him. I prepared him for the future. And so my point is, it's their problem, not mine. I could give you tons of examples in parenting. It's not my problem, it's theirs. It's their problem, not mine. They chose not to do it. Well, yeah, I'd be sad too. I'd be disappointed if you can't go to that party, that dance, hang out with your friends. Yep, I'd be disappointed too. Consequences are age appropriate, of course, right? That ideally, I'm going to skip ahead because we should understand that. Now, that's a big topic, and my wife, who's a child specialist, is very helpful here, and she's taught me a lot about that, what it means to be age appropriate. For example, that 1-minute rule that I gave you a second ago, if he's 2 years old, 2-minute time, Elaine taught me that. She's got all kinds of, she's a specialist, and she could tell you what's really, really age appropriate. So I'm just skipping a lot there that she has taught me, and be happy to go to her, or good literature. I empathize their loss, but I maintain the consequences. I'm sorry you feel sad for not being able to go to that movie or playing that toy. I don't like making bad choices either. Not, I told you so, I told you. That doesn't help them. That doesn't do anything at all. I love the Cloud Townsend say this, well, when do we give them praises? When do we give them treats and toys? Just anytime they ask? Is it when they make their bed? Is it when they just do what I ask them to do? Is it when they do what they're supposed to be doing? No. What they suggest is you only give rewards and real extra treats when they learn a new skill or have exceptional performance. And my son for years asked me, hey, Dad, I've kept my room clean. Can I go get a toy? And I go, no way. Why, Dad? I did my room. I said, you're supposed to do your room. You did exactly what you're supposed to do. You don't get a treat for doing what you're supposed to do. Do I get a treat for driving correctly on the road? No police officers ever pulled me over and gave me, here's a donut. I'm proud of you going the speed limit. You always set your cruise control. Way to go. And Dad, and he'll laugh. I said, no way. You don't get treats for doing what you're supposed to do. You just get negative consequences when you don't. You get treats when you go over and aboard, or maybe there was a while where you forgot to make your bed, and then for a season you did really well. I'm going to reward that because you got out of a massive funk, or that's kind of like a new skill almost. Does that make sense? So we reward them that way. But we don't give tons of rewards all the time, but you did a good job, and no matter what it is, that's not good. Responsibility, they always have children consider how this is really good, the situation, a friend at school is mean to me, the speck in your own eye. She's so hateful. Or the speck in someone else's eye, sorry. She's so hateful. What's the log is, how might I have hurt her? Remember Jesus in Matthew 7, right? The speck and log, right? This is some role play here. I received a bad report card. Well, the teacher's weird or stupid. She's horrible. Well, the log in her own eye is, well, how are my study habits? These are things parents do. The parents have to point out the log. Children will always point out the speck because it's not their fault. They're just a victim to the world. And the number one thing they're going to say about everything is it's not fair. That means I don't like what happened. They have no concept of fair. I didn't get my full allowance. My parents are unfair. Or, which task did I not do? My big brother beat me up. I have a bad brother. Am I provoking him and then playing the victim? Mom, Dad. So I always have to show up. I have a son and daughter. I show up and go, if someone's crying, okay, I'm sorry what happened. Okay, what happened? And I listen very carefully, and if there's something that sounds that's incriminatory, I always have them right there in presence. Almost always, come here. If Julia's crying, Hayden, come here and stand right here and listen. And I read body language a lot when she's telling the story. And so I'll listen carefully. But then I almost always will go back and say, did you do anything? And sometimes, no. Sometimes it's just what happened. But other times, well, and that's when Hayden's going to go, yeah, she first threw it at me. Well, see, she left that part out of the story that she first threw a pencil or whatever. Of course she did, because if she's just a pure victim, well, then I'll talk to her about that. And so that's the point here is I have to help them see the log part. I have to see them. Children believe that being uncomfortable is the same as being unable. Since I can't do something that makes me uncomfortable, my boundaryless parent should do it. And that's your responsibility. If a child needs glue the night before the big project, well, that's your fault if they're little bitty. They can't drive. But if they get older, they're 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and you've been doing a good job, they know that the project's coming. They should look for their supplies. And I don't drive midnight runs to glue. I don't do it. Dad, I'm going to get a bad grade. Yeah, that stinks. And if you get a bad grade, you're grounded. See you, have a good day at school. Let's pray. I'm not there to make sure last second. When they're children, it's different, right? But when they grow up, I'm not doing that stuff. Just because you think it's uncomfortable. My son in mathematics all the time. I'm not good at it. No, you don't like it. When you work hard, you actually are good at it. Well, yeah, but no. I'd rather you just say I don't like it. Well, that's fine. You don't have to like math. I don't like collard greens. But I mean, there's things, that's okay to say. It's different from saying I can't. You can, you just don't want to do it. They aren't responsible for everything. They need to know it's okay to ask for help in a crisis, feeling overwhelmed in a problem they can't solve alone. It's okay to say that. So, hey, come to me. I am a provider, manager, and protector. That's what I'm supposed to be. And when in doubt, ask me. And I always say that, when in doubt, don't ever, ever fail. I tell all the time, you always can come to us. So I never go, that's a stupid idea. Why'd you even bring it up? No. I'm saying, I'm so glad you asked. Now, if it's something silly, I'll say, no, you should know that by now. But, encourage them. But they should never feel guilty or judged because they can't do stuff all of a sudden. Encourage them to reach out for help. For example, I can't avoid failure. I can accept failure, learn, and improve. I can't do everything I desire. I can only do what I'm able. I can't survive without needing others. I can choose upon whom I will depend. You teach them how to look for help. I tell my own children all the time, well, Daddy, how do you do it? We talk about all Hayden loves grown-up talk, and we'll talk about stuff all the time. And I do my best in short conversations to give examples. Life is difficult, and so I lean upon your mom, and we pray, and my friend Jeff, he knows Jeff real well, pretty well. He knew the kids and so forth. I'll say, I lean on those people, or, Daddy fails too. Really, what do you fail? Well, I failed at this. And what did you do afterwards? Well, I had to learn from it. And I was sad and I was upset. We're helping to process that stuff. It's okay for you to reach out for help too and learn. Choices, allow choices. Children do everything they can. And Elaine taught me that, and it's so true. When children were little, it's amazing how powerful that is. Give them choices as much as you can. It's amazing. We used to say, do you want water or apple juice? Well, I don't give a rip. Now, I diluted apple juice because it has so much sugar in it, but they didn't know that. So I would say, water or apple juice? And they'd go, they'd smile, apple juice. They're apple Jews in our house. I go, great. Do you want this cereal or that cereal? They light up. They feel the power of the choice. And I would really egg it on. I'd say, it's completely up to you. It's completely up to you. Nana. But man, it teaches them that I can make choices. And guess what? I respect them. But see, I've given them the choices I want. Do you want crack or dirt? I don't give nastiness. They don't care though, and they don't see that as a parent, I've guided, I give them parameters, it's healthy. But boy, it helps them so much because they learn I can make a choice and I matter in life. When children don't learn that, they grow up and think that what I do doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. Mom and Dad are going to rescue me. It doesn't. Whenever possible, respect their no. If they want a break, and Elaine, sometimes she's so sweet. Sometimes I feel badly, I'm not playing with the kids. I said, me sometimes too, and she goes, I know they need time away. Yep, they need a break. Let her go play with the baby dolls for an hour. Let her do that. Learns how to play on her own. Do that. So time away is good. If they don't want to be tickled, you don't tickle them. If food, space, clothes, money, as they grow up, parents need to have the courage to be hated, just like God. Have the courage to be hated. And we respect their no. They might not want to hang out with you anymore. My children, Lord, oh my goodness, bless their heart, they've gone to church a lot. And I did too when I was a kid. But we respect their no within reason. Now, the little bitty children's different, but we don't drag them to everything. We don't. We just don't. If someone's mom, they might say, I want to stay home from youth group now. I go, okay. You don't have to go. You're not my pet. I don't have some kind of thing where my esteem is based. Where's the pastor's kids? Well, I don't care what you think. They're my kids, not yours. And they're going to grow up and hate God and hate the church and everything if they're forced to come here all the time. Well, David, why bring them ever? Well, because in my family, first off, we're all Christians now, so that we're teaching the discipline of going to church. But mom and dad didn't want to go to church all the time. There's all kinds of reasons. So we just respect as much as age appropriate. Not perfectly. We just do the best we can. And okay, no problem. Help children see how their choices reap consequences and so forth. We role play it. Okay. Feelings. Let me pause there. Actually, I've covered a lot on responsibility and choices. What questions or comments do you have? This should sound kind of familiar because consequences, responsibility, choices, feelings, all that was back to week 1. That was the boundaries with others. And I kept saying, we read aloud, I am responsible for my feelings. I am responsible for my attitudes. Remember those things? It's all the same kind of thing. It's just that we're helping them learn that. Parents' job is never, ever, ever, ever to prohibit the child from feeling any emotion, especially the negative ones: sadness, grief, anger, despair, regret, hatred. These are feelings. Dispositions of hatred, dispositions of despair, things you can't get out of, that's not healthy, it's not Christian, and so forth. But that feeling of hatred, of rage, once you've really, really been wrong, that's just a feeling. Parents are not there to stop the feelings, but to process them, help them work it through. And I said this in a sermon not too long ago, the number one thing, through the years of counseling, the number one dysfunctional thing I see in people that I meet in a counseling situation, that doesn't mean all of them do it, just the number one thing, is that they don't know how to process their own feelings. I say this in the sermon, they have repressed grief. It's stuffed, it's denied, and over again, when they talk about how they feel, they're very fast to judge it. I know it's weird. I know I shouldn't. I know it's stupid to feel that way. I know it's stupid. They judge them immediately. They do it. And typically, we don't always go into it until the person says, why do I do that? But I would say, I guarantee you learned it at childhood. Some authority figure or many taught you that your feelings don't matter. And they said hateful things about your feelings. If you started crying, they said, yeah, the world's tough, suck it up. Oh, you think that's bad? I'm off feed all day long. They taught you to, they just judged it. And as adults, we learn that if we're not careful, we'll model the same thing, keep judging ourselves. So parents, we don't do it to our children. We're a safe place. If my son and daughter heard me once, they were going to 500 times say, it's okay to cry. It's okay, it's safe to cry. The other day my daughter comes, she's a little different from my son. She can be hormonal, and she can be just sad, which I adore. And I'm wrapped around her finger. She comes the other day and she's just emotional, she's sad. We were at Lewisburg, out there at the Cider Fest, the pumpkin. She starts out in a bad, gets out of the truck by the time we get there, just in a bad mood. I said, babe, what's wrong? She walked off on the pumpkins. She's out there doing her stuff. And her and Lane kept going out a little bit of times. And one time we sat down, and she goes, whew, me and Joe are going to go and blows in a little bit. And I said, bless your heart, it's got to be tough. She goes, she just, and Lane starts shaking her head. She just blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, bless your heart. And so we start listening. Finally, I said, Joe, come here for a second, babe. What's going on? She goes, I don't know. She's in a bad mood. I said, come here, baby. And we chat for a little bit, and she finally comes around, and I hold her and start, patting her on the back. And I say, it's okay. She goes, I just feel sad. I feel like crying. I said, well, then cry. That's okay. So I held her back, patted her back. She cried some, and I said, it's okay. It's okay to cry, baby. I'm proud of you. It's always okay to cry. I'm whispering in her ear over and over. I'm patting her on the back. It's okay to cry. I'm so proud of you. Crying is healthy. My son, same thing all the time. It was such a sad moment for me, but I'm so proud of him. We were playing football. He had just started playing football, flag football, at his previous school. And the first time, or there was some time where there was a big play and he messed up. He didn't catch the ball. And the game's over and they're going off whatever, and he comes up to me, he's done a few times in his life. He comes up and he doesn't say anything. He's about as tall as my stomach back then. He comes up and kind of headbutts my stomach. He goes, boom. And that means he's emotional. He's about to burst in tears. And so I pat him on the back. I said, baby, all right? And and he's kind of holding back, and he's got his head stuck to my, he's got his uniform on, and the boys are around, whatever. And I pat him on the back, and he just crying and crying and crying. And so, of course, I don't do, suck it up, son. Everybody's looking. I don't care if 5 billion people are looking. I didn't give a rip. And I said, I love you. It's okay to cry. It's okay to cry. And he cried and cried. It's okay. I pat him on the back. Baby, I love you. I'm proud of you. And it's okay to be sad. And it's okay to be disappointed. I know you wanted to catch that ball. And it's okay to be sad. And he cried and cried. We stood there in the middle of this football lawn for probably about 2 minutes. He wiped his tears up, and we were able to go home. But in that moment, I'm thinking, man, I was sad for him. I didn't want to tear up myself. I could have. I easily got that, bless his heart. But I'm thinking, these are those times I want him, these are those critical moments. Can I trust my dad with my feelings? Because he's going to be a teenager one day. And so is my daughter. And then they're going to be adults. And they're going to be, I don't ever judge how they feel. I just judge how they express how they feel. This week I'm preaching on anger. I want to make that same distinction. Anger is a healthy emotion. Jesus was angry. So that we don't want to shut down emotion. We want to ever. That's not healthy. It's not how God designed us. We do want to judge or discern or place value on how we express it. And I'll talk, for example, anger is a perfect example. This week I'll talk about it's not healthy to express anger passive-aggressively, sarcastically, or an outburst. These are unhealthy. I want to target those in the sermon. You might say sadness, grief. You can be sad by slamming the door and locking yourself in the bedroom for 3 days. That's not healthy. That's not, well, I'm just so sad. Well, I'm sorry you're sad, but when you've cried for it, we're going to discuss it. You see what I'm saying? You just give them limits on how to express it. What about anger, David? How do we have our kids? It's okay. We tell them what they can do to express it. We say, you can't hit your sister. Instead, you can, what? First off, what do you think you can do? We always start with there. And it's amazing how wise they're. Well, I guess I could talk to her. There you go. What else? I guess I could tell her I'm mad about what she did. There you go. It's amazing, and they'll start giggling. I go, this is wonderful. You're just a wise sage, a little sage in a little body, and they'll laugh or whatever. That's right. You talk about it. That's appropriate. We tell our kids, you can raise your voice. You can't scream at them. You can't yell at them. But you can raise your voice. That demonstrates frustration or anger. That's fine. Mom and dad do that too. That's okay. Come on, knock it off or whatever. You don't yell though. You don't cuss. You don't hit. So we say you don't do these things, but here's what you can do. Does that make sense? We're not judging. They have a feeling. In fact, I'm so big, and I've said 100 times, you can be sad. You help them express feelings, but they don't have the vocabulary. You pay attention to their behavior and see if they're quiet, irritable, or emotionally sensitive. Children don't have the vocabulary. How do you feel? Do you feel happy? They got tears. You feel happy? No. You feel joyful? No. What do you feel then? I guess, well, as he did. No, I didn't ask you what he did. How do you feel? Well, if he would just, nope, didn't ask you that either. Sometimes I got to work on that vocabulary. So a lot of adults are the exact same way. So we say, are you sad? Are you upset? Are you angry? Are you irritable? Are you in a bad mood? We teach our kids it's okay to be in a bad mood. That's what happens. But how you express that irritability is something different. And we normalize feelings, right? I'm so sorry you're scared. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to be sad. Tornado came through or a hurricane came through. I'm scared. Well, just get over it. We're safe, we're safe, we're safe. You shouldn't be scared ever. That'd be horrible. No. You say, I'm sorry you were scared. I get scared too sometimes. Why were you scared? Because I heard this loud rumbling. And Lisa got all these fireballs and she lost control. Sorry, inside. And I got scared because she came to work again with all that stuff, and I get scared too when Lisa drinks fireballs. I understand that. I feel your pain. So, well, then what do you do, Dad, when you're scared? Well, how do you deal with it? Well, I pray, I talk about my fear, and then I think about, well, in what ways am I safe? If the tornado came, where would we go? I guess the emergency room. Yep, we go to the emergency room, take what, some water with us? Yeah, that would help us. Yeah, it would. So we address the feelings first, and then we help them feel better after we realize the world's not totally out of control. Does that make sense? By the way, hopefully you picked up a lot of these things you can do with yourself, right? Because something I didn't talk about yet, I'm not going to tonight for sure, is all this stuff works with you on the inside. Because no matter how old you get, Gene, your child's still going to act up, right? You'll still be sad, you'll still be scared, you'll still have negative emotions. And the issue is, well, then what do I do when I feel those feelings? What if no one around me comes and is my nurturing parent and says, I'm so sorry. It's okay to feel sad, it's okay to cry. Well, if no one's there to do it, guess who is there to do it? You are. You are there to do it. And you give yourself, and that's what you do. You parent yourself. You parent yourself. God does it through you, but questions or comments do you have? Anything at all? And we're done.
Do you see the younger people?
Do I see younger people? Oh, generationally.
Yeah.
When you say young, go ahead.
So long ago, I mean, you're
That's a wonderful question. And
identifying those feelings better.
that's always brought up to some degree every time I teach a class, and I need to put that in the notes. So the question is, do I see generational differences? Like, are generations getting better these days? Because when you were younger, you were told, sit down, be quiet, or children are there, what is it, to be seen, not heard, or you don't talk until someone's talking to you, you're not at the grown-up table. That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know if I see much difference at all, quite frankly. That's a good question. My gut would tell me, just my intuition would tell me, I don't think things are that much better. I don't. I think the only distinction is, and I think this is a big distinction, I think in general, in America at least, y'all's generation, even though you were told to be quiet, get over it, shut up, or whatever, World War I, World War II, the great generation and baby boomers, they were taught much more than any present generation that life's not going to give it to you. Life's not always fair. You got to earn it. Stop whining. So that kind of sense. Our generation today is radically different. So they're told to be quiet or shut up, my life's hard. They're also told, but you can do it. You can be anything you want to be. And so now we have enablers and rescuers. So before, maybe in a generation where they're told to shut up and be quiet, now they're not necessarily told to shut up, but they rescue them from feeling the negative emotions. Before, you were discounted. Now they're still discounting it, they're doing it a different way. Your negative emotions don't matter because I will rescue them so quick you don't have to feel that weight of that. And you can be, and then we have a bunch of narcissistic, selfie-driven, all about me culture.
So what you call the helicopter parent?
Helicopter parent, yes sir. Yeah, and this vocabulary they would say that's an enabler. They're helicopter parents. The they feel anxiety that their child feels it and might feel anxiety. And their anxiety is so high that they protect them. And that's why it's not purely altruistic. It's never just for the kid. It's because you feel anxious, because they feel anxious. Yeah, that's a great, so I wish I had more insight. There's probably some studies that demonstrate the helicopter parent issue and whether or not, but I don't think the ability for children to express their feelings is that much better. I don't think so. I don't think so. But maybe, in all fairness, maybe. Yes, ma'am.
Do you think that kids have the respect for anything that they used to? It just seems like there's not much respect anymore for things.
That's a great question. Do children these days seem to have respect for anything at all? I really genuinely think they do. I think what children in younger and millennial and younger Generation Y and now Generation Z, they respect things a lot. They respect different things than your generation did. So they do respect things. While your generation respected legacy, institutions, organizations, buildings, building things, the builder generation, my generation, Generation X, and then lower, does not respect those things. They respect, and it depends on the generation. Like my generation, and certainly some of the younger ones, we respect individuality, entrepreneurship, maybe loyalty to authenticity, being real, not being fake, those kind of things. So they do respect things, they respect different things. And I have found in my experience, a lot of the older generation who say, kids these days, they don't, that kind of, a lot of times that real anger, you didn't, but I mean, sometimes they get real mad about it. Obviously, some kids don't respect anything. Sure, I think probably in any generation, there's some kids who don't give a rip. But in general, I don't think that's true at all. I think they've shifted what it is they respect. So what it is they value from your generation, those values have changed. I see that in church all the time. We see it even in worship, right? They respect, don't run in church. Well, no one in my generation younger, no one gives a rip about that anymore. No one cares at all. I couldn't care less. My daughter was running here earlier. Didn't even occur to me she was running. I said, oh look, I thought she's having a fun time. But when I grew up, you get in trouble if you ran by the pastor. Couldn't care less. This is in my view, it's a building that people invested in and gave money, but it's a building. And so I respect the sacrifice they made, but I have I just value things differently. That's a great question. Should we all respect the flag and things like that and authority? I do, in as much as those are moral commandments in the New Testament, not to respect the flag per se, but governmental figures. I love how Peter says at 1 Peter that we live a lifestyle such that we don't get in trouble for doing bad things just for being Christian. That's okay. So we fear God, but we honor the emperor. That is to say, I pay him due diligence. Like when Jesus says, I pay my taxes, whose image is on there? We'll give to Caesar what's Caesar and God what's to God's. So I respect authority that way. Only in as much as, so to answer your question, I think all people should respect government only in as much as it does not violate the kingdom of God. The second they violate the kingdom of God, I disrespect them. If the government told me the right thing to do is to start cheating, I don't give a rip, then you put me in prison. To start killing babies, to start on and on, no, you're wrong. The same government that the Apostle Paul praises in Romans 13, he didn't carry the sword in vain. The sword was the tax collector. He was telling Christians, don't stop paying your taxes. That's the number one way that Jews and other people groups started a rebellion against the foreign powers. They stopped paying taxes. So Paul's telling them there, and by the way, early church fathers kept saying that, keep paying your taxes. Don't ruffle if that's not how we do, that's not how we're setting the example. The same government he's praising that God set up to fight anarchy is the same government spoken of in Revelation 13, who's the beast, fueled by Satan. Because in Revelation, the point is the government can tempt you to do things, worship their idols and their religions. So it's to me, it's not a yes or no. I have to nuance it that way. As much as you respect them, as much as you can, when it does not violate the kingdom of God.
And if they don't smile anyway,
Yeah.
then still they will have seen that.
That's right. So children we didn't raise, but yet we got to come in contact with them. We treat them respect. My rule of thumb, and that's a great point there, and if I can just piggyback on that idea, my rule of thumb is for any child, including my own, is back to my chart, by default, I treat them as adult as I can, right off the bat. Right off the bat.
And the ones that kind of need that little human being.
These little human
you know?
beings.
'Cause that's
Sure,
what they
sure,
are.
sure. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Yeah, they are little
When
human.
they were babies, I was just like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, the little human
Just
beings.
watching them develop and grow. Seedlings.
I think, was it Dr. Phil who said they are, I love, because it's a great way to say it, I think he said they are potential adults. That has stuck with me since I was 18 or whatever. They're potential adults.
You think of them as complete human beings, at least, you know.
That's right, yeah.
And
They are a
some
complete,
adult, like,
that's right.
You're not even an adult.
That's
you know,
right,
and
that's
then
right.
You've lost their respect right there.
That's right. That's right. They are complete individuals. They're human beings. That's right.
It's like they can't change what age they are. We can't change
Yeah.
what age we are.
Yeah.
So
That's right. And parents have a difficult thing when they have foster children. I have several friends who have foster. I grew up, my parents had a foster kid who stayed with us for a good while. But when that happens, or they're adopted, or what, sometimes crises happen. In those moments, it's the same stuff. You might have to have a conversation with them and say, I know it's been different for you thus far, but here's how it works here. What about if you failed your kids so far? I get that one a lot. What if we've been screwed up for years and years, and how do we stop? You say, that's all right, Charlie. Well, you own it. And as much as the child can understand it, if they're old enough to understand it, you really do own it. You sit down and say, let me tell you the ways I've been failing you. Now, I spent 3 hours disquisition of, then the Greek Latin is, but I have failed you in these areas. These are areas I've not done well. I've let you get away with this. I've yelled, whatever the issue is. I raised my voice, so I didn't, whatever this issue is, we own it. They're going, it's okay, Mommy, it's okay, Daddy. You stop them and say, no, it is not. It is not. I made a mistake. I failed. And I'm telling you that I'm sorry. It's okay. No, it's not. Because they want to rescue you. They want to rescue you. You know, you say, thank you. You're not responsible for my feelings. I'm owning it. And you see, oh, my Lord, you're teaching what it means to own your failures. I'm owning this. It's my responsibility. And I'm telling you, from now on, it's a new day. I'll do a whole lot better. Some things you won't like, because you might hear no more than you used to and so forth, but I'm letting you know that I'm going to be the very best, I'm going to be a better parent than I've ever been before. And going forward, I've told many parents, then what happens, 2 weeks later, something else comes up. Dadgummit, I failed. I've been doing that wrong too. You own it right then. You look at them, they're doing a temper tantrum. You say, you know what? It's my fault that you're still having a temper tantrum. I've always let you do that. I was wrong to let you do that. So now it's not going to happen. Now the next time you have a temper tantrum, you're going to be grounded. By grounded, I mean you're going to have to sit over there and do X, Y, Z. Do you understand me? You lay it out very clear what the consequences are. But you're always owning your own failure. You tell them it's going to be different, and then you stinking do it. You always follow through. I'll finish this story. When Hayden, the don't go to McDonald's thing, like you won't go to McDonald's, one thing we always follow through, always. You don't get that toy, that means you can't get the toy. And I knew I had praised Jesus, it had worked. Well, did I tell you my 1, 2, 3 story yet? Remember that? Well, because when we got to 3, that was consequence. Always, never kind of, sort of. It was always, if I go 1, 2, 3 meant either. I mean, it's spanking under certain circumstances, grounding, and whatever. And we were at Walmart one time, and Hayden, he didn't have terrible 2s, he had more like terrible 3s. It's a bad way of saying terrible. He didn't, just boundary violation galore at 3 years old. And we shopped at Walmart all the time. And Walmart is just, it's huge, this massive circus. And he comes in and he loved, for a while, the little thing was to run off and just kind of chase him. Well, we had talks. He got in trouble, and then going back to Walmart, have talk. Now, when we get to Walmart, you're not going to run off. You're not going to do this. If you do, these are the consequences. We have a dialogue. Get them ready. We do that coming to Walmart one day, and you walk in, there's all these, 100 lanes with 2 of them open. And we come in, and it's from here to almost that wall, and it's a big open spot, people going in and out, and he goes, pew, bolts off. And I turn, he must have gone easily 50 feet, 80 feet. I mean, he was way down there. And he runs down, and he turns around, and he goes, he was the Western. His little lead just like, come and get me. What are you going to do? What are you going to do, son? And I looked at him. There's people going in and out, and I could have, which you've seen in Walmart, I could have screamed and hollered. I could have cussed. Get back over here. I could have done stuff you hear all the time. But because I'd worked so hard, I looked at him, I didn't, there was no scene. I just raised my finger, looked at him and went, I didn't even say anything. I just put number 1. I paused, I went to number 2, and at number 2, boom, he bolted. Ran all the way back and paused, and I was still holding the 2 fingers up. I kneeled down, looked at him, and then I put my hand down. I got down on his eyes, and I said, don't you ever do that again. Do you understand me? And his face. And there was a pause, a long pause of the fear of God, the stare.
Be serious.
And that was it. And he put his hand out. I grabbed his hand and we walked off. He didn't run off one more time the whole thing. And I remember walking his hand going, yes, praise Jesus. From then I knew it stuck. From no matter where we were, in the mall, at home, it did not matter. If I did 1, 2, it was done, because 3 meant it was coming. So that consistency mattered a lot. And so I meant to say that earlier, but when it comes to consequences, you got to, grandparents too.